See if you can pick out my laughter in the intro song, Trav. We also play it in reverse, and you can hear "Follow Satan."
Hello. I wonder if I even get a notification anymore. It's been so long.
Check the bomb. Did you unsubscribe?
No, I would never.
No, I was talking about Kyle.
Oh.
Get ready. Get set. It's the Project Ion Podcast with Kevin, Andy, Jim, and Kyle, bringing you opinions on life in the basement in Northwest Iowa.
Oh, come on.
I really don't think that a president can do much about that issue.
You are fake news.
Well, let's say it's a guy named Seats.
I'm making spaghetti. Man, this shit whack, man. I'm gonna do a cam.
Oh, the Swanee Cam.
I want to save him until he goes through puberty.
Oh.
Dude, 3 months in the making.
Yeah, man.
That was the last.
Has it been 3 months?
Well, the last video was 3 months ago when you guys played D&D
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
for an hour and a half.
That was pretty nerdy.
I watched it.
Did you really?
That's nerdier.
Yeah. Anything nerdier than playing is watching somebody play.
Yeah. Guess who's back? Back
I
again.
distinctly remember the last podcast. I think Spurge had like a respirator on or something. I had a mask, and we were all in our basement alone, isolated.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah. Yeah, just straight
But
up.
then luckily the science finally came out. And now we can breathe.
That's right.
We've been saved by Pope Fauci,
Yeah.
right, Kyle?
Yeah, ouchie Fauci.
Got our.
Well, how's everybody doing?
Yeah,
Good.
good.
Feels good to be back on the saddle once again.
Yep.
We got Travis Ukasic with us. Hi, Trav.
In,
You probably
in
couldn't hear him,
studio,
but
off
in
camera.
studio, yeah. Off camera, but that's all good. Let's get into some Cruz Simpsons impressions.
Oh man.
Right off the bat. Huh?
Haven't heard about
I'm
Ted
gonna-
Cruz in a long time.
Yeah,
We're
what
here
is
to talk
doing?
about serious issues.
Maybe in Cancun.
But voters also like to get to know all the candidates. Look, your wife is now, she's lighting up. She knows
God,
what,
he
this
looks
is,
greasy.
what this is leading to. So you've heard about the lighter side of Ted Cruz.
Ugh,
Heidi.
he looks worse.
Something about impressions. He does.
Yeah, this is
impressions really
pre-beard.
well.
Well, you know, there
Ted
are
Cruz.
people who do impressions, and then there are the rest of us who do not. Ted is one of those who does impressions. Ted's really
Oh, no,
funny.
I thought this was
Ted
like
has
a
great sense of
spoof.
humor. He
Is
loves
that
to
his
tell
wife?
jokes. He and,
He's actually
Caroline
doing
are-
impressions.
So, yeah, Ted Cruz has a portfolio. He's got 5 minutes of stand-up where he does
Oh, no.
Simpsons impressions.
I thought this was somebody just putting pictures of like Homer next to Ted Cruz and say, hey, let's look alike.
No,
Nope.
it's that's the Zodiac killer.
Oh,
And-
You
God.
got to put next to Ted Cruz.
I mean, I don't know.
Uncanny.
Yeah,
Well, maybe.
what you guys have going for impressions as far as that goes, but I mean, there's certainly a spectrum of good impression and bad. We'll see where Ted Cruz falls.
8-year-old go back and forth, and they're the only two people
I
in the family
suspect
that think
this
the
might
jokes are
be
funny.
awful.
But they are from the 8-year-old joke book, and so Ted has another thing I love about Ted is he has a great sense of humor, and so he is given to impressions, and a couple of them are quite good.
Well, let's take a look. No. Let's take a look. Let's take a look right here.
Smithers, release the hounds. Excellent. Idly ho, neighbor. Oakley.
That's not even an impression.
Yeah.
No, the Ned Flanders isn't bad. Like,
That's probably, yeah, that's just his, his greeting.
Dokley, neighborino. But Dad, I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat animals. But Lisa, animals are so delicious. There's the animal we get bacon from, the animal we get ham from, the animal we get sausage from.
This is
Dad,
awful. This isn't even, it's not even close.
he's just talking.
He's like just reading the script
Man.
of a Simpsons episode.
Good Morning America, huh?
I mean, so the Burns one,
Yeah.
okay, fine.
Jeez.
The Flanders kind of
The
sounded.
Flanders, but I felt like that really wasn't. That was just Ted Cruz.
Ted
saying
Cruz's
a
voice saying
yeah,
Dokley.
Oakley dokley. Speak on this. Have you seen the metal band Oakley Dokley before?
Jesus.
Okay.
They-
Quick sidebar after this. We'll go there.
Oh my
Oakley
God.
Dokley.
Oakley Dokley kicks ass.
That's all the same animal.
Probably worse than Chon.
Sure.
Oh, it's
A
you'll like
magic
it.
Animal that all the wonderful foods come from. Forward, not backwards. Upwards, not downwards. And always twirling for freedom.
Sounds like Kennedy.
Something we saw. on
That
TV.
straight up sounded like one of his rallies.
Yeah.
Like
Man.
Well, now you know where the
Ken
material's
did
coming
run for
from.
president. That one Treehouse of Horrors
Yeah.
episode. Don't blame me. I voted for Kano.
Simpsons rock.
Simpsons D-Rock.
Oakley
is this-
Dokley.
Is this as good as like?
Oakley Dokley kicks
Jesus.
Oh
ass.
Jesus! As good as Caninus? Caninus is just a dog barking. That's the
This one's a
lyrics.
good one.
Got one more for us?
We got one more little song. We call it Godspeed Little Doodle.
So yeah, the gimmick of the band is made entirely of Ned Flanders's, and they rock.
Goodbye, little Godspeed, little doodle.
It's like drop E. God, you know who that sounds like? His son. Remember that band?
Oh yeah, I remember Son.
Still better than Metallica.
Still better than Metallica, huh?
That's
Yeah, not a big.
those
not a
are
big
those are
Metallica guy.
words.
Those are
Those are
fight words in the
words.
metal
Not a big
community.
Metallica guy. Overrated, in my opinion. We should do a Mount Rushmore of overrated.
Mason
Rock
Sanders would cry.
Wow.
Yeah.
He has Metallica tattoos.
We did a Mount Rushmore of bands for, I think it was me, Tay, and Trev one time.
Oh
And
yeah.
Tay's were Metallica. It
Ronnie
was
James
all-
Dio.
Well, it was like Pantera, Metallica, Slayer. It was all like 80s thrash stuff.
Insufferable.
Like, hey, there's zero variety.
Oh, Lamb of God, I'm sure was up there.
They skip ahead a little bit when they start rocking.
Godspeed, little doodle.
That's pretty heavy.
Yeah, man. I told you it kicked ass.
That is cool.
Got the guy on the Korg. Just
Yeah, exactly. You got to have a synthesizer guy. If you want to be cool.
Pretty heavy.
type in K9S.
K9S. Is it with a C or a K?
Yeah,
or-
C.
We'll probably get booted for copyright
Yeah.
right away, but who cares? Where to?
Oh, you do one.
Dude,
Anything?
No dogs, no masters. I love the album art. So fitting. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just dog barks. They don't tour.
That's awesome.
Oh, good stuff. Oh, I got a video for you guys. Kevy would. I wish Kevy was here for this one, but it's all good.
It's all right. Sometimes, I mean, you got to paint the deck. You don't
That's
stay on
right.
top of that. That wood's gonna rot out on
Let's
you.
see if I can find
Yeah.
it.
Speaking of that, I just had to replace a couple deck boards.
How much did that cost, Kyle?
Well, thank you for asking, Jim. It was $43 per 2x4x16 foot board.
Oh,
so
that's funny.
$80, over $85 for two boards.
$85.
$85.
$85
$85
Insane.
for tubifer?
For a tuba.
This is called technical jargon overload.
Here at Rockwell Automation,
Whoop.
research has
Oh,
been
I remember
proceeding
this.
to
Yeah, I
develop
think
a
we've done
line
this.
of automation products that establishes new standards for quality, technological leadership, and operating excellence. With customer success as our primary focus, work has been proceeding on the crudely conceived idea of an instrument that would not only provide inverse reactive current for use in unilateral phase detractors, but would also be capable of automatically synchronizing cardinal gram meters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Following so far?
Yeah,
it makes
sense.
perfect sense.
So you got to synchronize.
Please tell
Such
me
an
more.
instrument comprised of Dodge gears and bearings, Reliance electric motors, Allen Bradley controls,
Oh, yeah, great
and all
groups.
monitored by Rockwell software
Oh,
is
perfect.
Rockwell
It's the
Automation's Retro Encabulator.
Retro encabulator.
Okay, I'm feeling like I'm watching an episode of Star Trek here.
Yeah, that's not a real word.
Now,
right?
basically, the only new principle involved is that instead of power being generated by the relative motion of conductors and fluxes, it's produced by the modial
Power is
interaction of
generated by a
magneto-reluctance and capacitive duractance. The original machine had a base plate of prefamulated amulite surmounted by a malleable logarithmic
Ah,
casing
yes,
in
the
such a
hands.
way that the two
Now-
Sperling
oh, two.
bearings were in
Two
a
of 'em.
direct line
Ooh.
with a panometric fan.
Oofta.
The lineup consisted simply of 6 hydrocoptic Marsal vanes, so
yeah.
fitted to
Ooh,
the
right there.
ambifacient lunar wane shaft that side fumbling
Wiggle.
was effectively
Get the
prevented.
waggle.
The main winding was of the normal Lotus O deltoid type placed in panendermic semi-boloid
that's
slots
a
of the stator.
That is a
Every
muscle.
seventh conductor being connected by a non-reversible tremie pipe to the
Ah,
differential girdle
clockwise.
spring on the up end of the gram meters.
All the Gerda spray.
Moreover, whenever fluorescent score motion is required, it may also be employed in conjunction with a drawn reciprocation dingle arm to reduce sinusoidal depleneration.
Dingle
The Retro Encabulator has now reached a high level of development, and it's being successfully used in the operation of Milford Trunnions.
So
Milford
Spur-
Trenios, that sounded French.
Man.
So Spurgeon, I gave a prepresentation on computers in like 8th grade.
8th grade.
And I have a feeling that this is
Yeah.
what
It
it
was
sounded
very
like.
similar. We were just making up.
Yeah.
I remember when you dropped the word gigaflop, and in Hanson's eyes, he finally got a little big and like, wait a second, I don't
boys
think
are-
these children know what they're talking about.
Because what we did, we took apart a computer, just a junky one or something.
Piece by piece.
Labeled it, motherboard, RAM, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, we just went through every single part, right?
And
Yeah.
talked for 4 class periods
Into, like,
about it.
How
Yeah.
long can we keep it going?
And then we had to cut. He like made us cut before we got to accessories because we were gonna bust into a printer and freaking mouse and monitors and stuff.
Well, that wouldn't have been too bad for Hanson. You get a waste 4 class periods.
Oh, Hans, he'd dip out into the lab and get some drinks. And
Well, it's a
Kenny
presentation,
Hansen,
baby.
is he alive?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
He lives over at Lake,
Oh, of course he does.
Does
He
he
retired
really?
to the
Yeah.
the good
the
side.
good side.
All right, Grams, let's get you triggered here.
Yeah, dude.
Here
I
we'll
love
go
it.
to Biden's assistant secretary.
Oh, this
Oh
is,
yeah, isn't she the one? Oh wait, this is the one that where she's an assistant secretary of logic, reasoning, medical science, right? And it's a girl.
Throughout my
or
career,
boy.
I have focused
Who knows?
on the intersection between medical, mental, and behavioral health.
Oh, that makes
And
sense.
as your ASH, I will continue that focus
As your
and
Ash,
support policy initiative.
Is that
Assistant Secretary of
health or something? Or?
maybe?
Mental health and well-being. Yeah, that's who you want to take your information from right there. A mentally healthy person.
To improve Americans' physical and mental well-being.
They're really showing themselves to do really well. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Do you see Biden's recent gaffe with the whispering? It's kind of weird.
His whispering?
Yeah, I wrote the bill.
I didn't see that.
$17 trillion.
How can we
Just
find it?
Type in Biden whisper, press conference or something.
Is this it?
Creepy whispering. Yeah, that's probably it.
All right, now President Sippy Cup Joe Biden today had one of his most bizarre moments.
I don't care
yet
about
after
Hannity.
he
Just fast forward it.
Oh, you love Hannity.
He's okay.
Is he though?
I think so. Here we go.
Really?
Yeah. Pay them more. This is an employees bargaining chip now. What's happening? I got them $1.9 trillion relief so far. They're going to be getting checks in the mail that are consequential this week for childcare. The bill on the environment.
I wrote it.
Why would I not be for it?
I wrote the bill.
Anyway, I don't know if that's it, but anyway, that's the most recent.
The latest Biden thing.
The latest. Well, it's every press conference. It's like
He's only had like
yeah,
two.
and it's been like that. But
Well, why'd you vote for him, Kyle?
yeah, I don't know. Jeez, why would I ever do that?
More funding for the educators, Kyle.
Yeah, well, when I see that in my bank account, then I'll thank Biden. Thank you,
right.
Bo Jiden. Don't eat me. So scary.
Oh dear. Well, do we want to get into why you shouldn't defend yourself in court?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Because I haven't seen this yet.
This
Yeah.
is funny. God.
Okay. Here's a closing statement where he says I did kill her.
Double homicide, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it is Sideshow Bob.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Oh, that's great.
The hair makes it even better. Yeah.
The first thing the judge said is hilarious.
Mr. O'Neill, you need to speak audibly so that the jury can hear what you're saying.
What did he say?
He showed you a fraudulent recording
It's a fraudulent recording.
where they allege that I beat Kenyatta Barron to death. He talked about Mr. Khalil Brown, my neighbor who stayed across the street. But if Mr. Khalil Brown was a help to them proving me guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, they would have called Mr. Khalil Brown. But I called Mr. Khalil Brown to be a witness for me. And I didn't ask him to lie about one thing that he saw.
There's no
that
defense
night.
here.
It's like every courtroom drama that
Yeah.
he's ever seen, sprinkled in with like crazy ebonics.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not even sure because he called a witness.
Yeah.
Because he called him. He wouldn't call him if he did it.
Okay.
So he was trying to reverse psychology.
Yeah.
What's that called?
So
So I guess he's stabbed his son in this series of events, but the son survived and actually testified against him.
But
and
he
then
called his son?
No, I think the state called the son as a witness.
Okay.
But the kid would have had to have been cross-examined by
dad.
By dad, yeah. Which would have been awful tough.
But we got video of that?
There might be. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if it's on somewhere.
I asked him to tell the jury exactly what he saw that night. And you have to ask yourself why that is. Because he's playing a fraudulent damn recording of me beating Kenyatta Barron 15 damn times when that did not happen.
Look at the judge's face.
Mm-hmm.
And like I told you earlier, you will know the truth, whether in this trial or the next one.
All paid for by taxpayers.
If you think I'm here to play around with y'all, God damn it, I'm not.
All right, Mr. O'Neill, please stop using swearing language. It's not appropriate in a closing argument.
Oh. I did not know that.
Let me look at my notes.
Yeah.
Go louder. Say, quit playing.
So typically your closing remarks are just to repeat your theory of the case. You know,
Right.
you say the evidence that you offered shows ABC. You know, the evidence the other side is insufficient because of ABC. You know.
Consider this.
Yeah.
But quit playing around.
Stand up! Why didn't you play the regular recording that people can understand what the call was saying?
Objection to the defendant asking me questions, Your Honor.
I'm going to sustain
I'm talking to people.
Mr. O'Neill, listen, please just keep in mind this is not personal towards the prosecutors. Please keep your comments directed towards the evidence and the law. Thank you.
What did he say there?
I don't know.
I know for a fact Kenyatta Barron's recording from her phone did not record calls sped up like that.
I'm going to object now. He's talking about facts, not in evidence, so what he knows.
Again, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, as you were instructed, the closing arguments are just that. They're not the evidence or the instruction on the law. It's just what the parties believe the evidence shows or does not show. All right? Thank you.
Well, what am I supposed to say then?
You heard Mr. Khalil Brown. You've been hearing me for 2 weeks now telling you that they committed criminal acts against me with the 911 calls and that fraudulent video that they just showed y'all.
Look at the prosecutor just...
You heard Khalil Brown. He said that he was actually sure that I only hit Kenyatta Barron 3 times. You heard. I called him to tell you that. I ain't running from nothing.
That stare down of that middle prosecutor,
Khalil Brown to tell you that.
who must be the main DA or whatever.
Yeah.
Why that is? Because I want you to know the actual facts. I did kill Kenyatta Barron. But I want you to tell it like it is.
There it is.
You're going to tell it.
So I guess his theory is...
He just said I didn't, right?
No, he said I did. Yeah.
Oh.
Whoops.
Okay. That's the clerk.
Whoopsie daisy. Yeah.
I did kill Kenyatta Barron.
So he's not objecting to the fact that he killed her. It's just that they're not citing the facts of how he killed her accurately.
Because
that makes sense.
because they sped up their recording.
Yeah.
They're playing with him.
That's like what you gotta quit playing.
You gotta quit playing with
but
y'all.
but that's like those cases Jim was we were talking about at lunch, where you misspell a word on the complaint. Whole thing's got to be thrown out.
Therefore, case dismissed.
Therefore,
yeah,
free.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom.
Let me go.
Can't argue with that rock solid line. Well, there's the second video down. You stabbed me, boy tells father at double murder. Jesus.
We're starting first here at 6 with this boy's
So that's
act
gotta
of
be
bravery after surviving the unthinkable.
I just saw my dad holding a shotgun and my mom screaming at him.
That little boy testifying at his father's murder trial. He's the son of Ronnie O'Neill, his father on trial for the murder of the boy's mother and sister, and also for trying to kill Ronnie, allegedly. Now, because he's representing himself, this creates the unusual scenario of the father cross-examining, questioning his own son. The man is accused of trying to kill him, and now he is basically questioning his son's testimony. Fox 13's Aaron Mesmer is live at the courthouse in Hillsborough County. Aaron,
So how does
even
that work?
separated
If you
by video
represent
screen
yourself-
because the boy is...
You represent yourself. What type of fees, are there fees from the court that you'd have to furnish or?
To pay court costs or something?
Yeah, like what are
That
like,
gets wrapped up with a conviction.
Yeah, possibly.
Okay.
So, like in a criminal context, the state is going to be bringing the petition in the first place because that's who's got the interest against crime is the collective. So, they file a petition, they drag you in there and all that kind of thing. It's a possibility, I suppose, you could wind up paying court costs as part of a final judgment or something like that. But, yeah, I mean, you wouldn't... I don't think defendants ever wind up paying prosecutorial attorney fees or anything like that because those people are all on a salary from the government anyways. Yeah, so be a little bit different than like if you got in a car accident or something with somebody and you took them to court. Sometimes you can get your attorney's fees as part of
the judgment.
Part of the judgment.
I wouldn't
in a
have to
civil
be
suit.
here and have an
Yeah,
attorney if
right.
you wouldn't have hit me.
If you wouldn't have hit me, exactly. Yep. Yeah. So, yep. Interesting stuff, though.
That's
If it wasn't such a horrible story, it'd be a lot funnier.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty funny,
no kidding.
anyways.
Well, did you guys watch that Molly Tibbetts trial at all?
A little.
I saw bits and pieces of it.
I actually watched most of it. It was kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
Like the defense ended up calling the accused in his own defense to the stand, and the guy gets up there and tells this story about how he got off work, he gets in the shower, he gets out of the shower, and there's two men in ski masks in his living room that had guns. They forced him into the car and forced him to drive all around Brooklyn, Iowa, which is all of 6 blocks, They see Molly out running. They stop the car. One of them goes and accosts her and puts her in the trunk. And then they tell him to drive out to this cornfield. They kill her. They give him his wallet and his cell phone back and leave the body and him there in the cornfield where he got scared and disposed of the body.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that makes a whole lot of sense.
And that's the only bit. There's no corroborating evidence of anything.
Just his own testimony.
Just his his story that that he had. And then the defense was, the lawyers of course go on TV and they're like, he has not wavered from this story since the day we met with Christian. And you're like, well,
did he get sentenced yet?
No.
They just had the guilty verdict fairly recently, didn't they?
Yeah, within a month or so.
Yeah.
So sentencing's probably coming down the pike.
Mm-hmm.
Like Chauvin. Derek Chauvin.
Oh, yeah.
22 and a half, is that right?
22 and a half years. He'll be out in
Derek Chauvin.
15, 18, something like that. Probably with good behavior and all things considered.
Yeah.
Let's get a little...
The former Minneapolis police officer convicted of murdering George Floyd learned his fate on Friday. A judge sentenced Derek Chauvin to 22 and a half years in prison. That sentence is lighter than the 30 years sought by prosecutors, but exceeds the 12 and a half years recommended by state guidelines. Chauvin and 3 fellow officers still face...
Interesting. So if the state guidelines said 12 and a half, they must have found
they had
aggravating.
So they had 3 aggravating factors that I was reading about. I don't remember them all, but one was like abusing a position of authority and breach of the public trust.
Yeah.
I think was kind of the big one. Like you have this power that you've been granted by the state, and you're out here murking folk.
Do you remember when we were talking about the interplay between the charges? So there was 2nd-degree murder and third-degree murder or something, and then a manslaughter and something like that.
Negligent homicide
something
or
like
something
that.
like that. Yeah.
And it was perplexing me because there was a point where what they were alleging, my thought was, okay, well, if there was a felony committed and somebody died, then it would be a bump up to the second-degree murder through that avenue under almost any circumstance if there's a felony involved. And it seemed a little goofy to me that was the way it was. And I thought, okay, well, I must not understand the law in this particular area very well. But I guess that's the way it is in Minnesota. They've got kind of a goofy thing where you can get, if you're involved in a felony and somebody dies,
that felony
can boost you to second-degree murder no matter what, basically.
So it's a state thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a thing with the Minnesota. I was listening to a Minnesota lawyer kind of break it down on YouTube one day, and he was like, yeah, this is a weird quirk of Minnesota law where these a felony, everything can get funneled into the second-degree murder, if somebody dies in the commission of a felony. So
interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting.
They didn't say that, but the other thing that was big about this was that it's more than any other like killer cops have really gotten.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the biggest sentences that one of these dingai have gotten sentenced with.
Face a federal civil rights trial. Chauvin knelt on Floyd's neck for nearly 10 minutes, leading to his death. It led to one of the biggest outcries against racial injustice in the nation's history. And as Jamie Yuccas reports, Friday was the first time Chauvin broke his silence in the courtroom.
Black Lives Matter! Come on! Black Lives Matter!
A vocal crowd.
Was there? I didn't hear about any protests or anything. Was there any last night after the sentencing, or
not if there was, the media didn't report on it.
Did you guys hear about it? Anything?
I didn't, but I usually look to Twitter on those things,
Yeah.
and I didn't get on there at all.
If it happened, it'd be on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Gathered outside the Hennepin County Government Center to listen to Derek Chauvin's sentence. When it was announced, many wished he had gotten more time.
I mean, you have to ask the question, is 22 years worth somebody's life?
It was an emotional day in court Friday when 4 Floyd family members provided victim impact statements, including Floyd's now 7-year-old daughter, Gianna, whose pain was recorded and played in the courtroom.
I miss you and I love you.
Others spoke to Chauvin directly.
What was going through your head when you had your knee on my brother's neck?
I haven't had a real nice sleep because of the
So is this
nightmare.
all done before the sentencing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
The victim in the murder case, it's the family typically get to give an impact statement. Your actions caused this, and then the judge can take that into. But doesn't the judge already have his sentence figured out before he comes in? Like this dude had he had a 22-page brief. He said he submitted with it.
I would think so. Well, yeah. I mean, the victim impact statement kind of portion of it, I think, is sort of the emotional appeal end of everything. There's,
Right.
And there would be people to argue the other side too, about why. I wouldn't be surprised if Chauvin had some people.
Chauvin's mom.
Okay, yeah.
Chauvin's mom made a statement.
Yeah, right. So she would say the opposite. Well,
It was.
you should.
It was
stick with
very
the-
much me. It was an interesting statement. She's like,
Mhm.
"You sentence him. You're sentencing me. Did I
Really?
get to hang out with my son?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not very persuasive, obviously, but anyways. So it goes, yeah, but I mean, I would assume the judge probably had a pretty good idea where they're going to land ahead of time. Skip ahead a little bit
After
here.
the verdict, Attorney General Keith Ellison told us this isn't justice, but is accountability and a step in the right direction.
When you look at all of the cases, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, all these cases, we still haven't really embraced justice, even in terms of putting a stop to the problem.
Well,
So
what is justice then? I mean, what is the line? 22.5 higher than the maximum?
Oh, I think.
Well, I mean, how many years did he shave off that guy's life by killing him?
Yeah.
If you go by averages, he just negated 40 years of life.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 22 and a half.
Yeah, well, then it should be. I mean, if we're trying to go eye for an eye, then it should be first degree. if that's the case, if you want a longer sentence. But where I question things is if it's second degree, it's already above the maximum sentence.
No, the maximum sentence was 30 years.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
For second degree?
Yes.
Why'd they say?
They said the guidelines say first offenders
guidelines
is 15 or 12 or whatever it was, and that's if you have a squeaky clean history. But if you had aggravating factors, then or a bunch of felonies, then you're looking at 30.
Gotcha.
My thought is just, it's the whole criminal justice system, though, right? Because we have people for possession of drugs.
Yep.
In there for life.
Yep, I agree.
And so it's not, I think, in my opinion, it's not that. I think second degree deserves longer than 20 years. We can look at the local murder. That kid got 50.
Yep. I don't remember. What was it second degree?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, he got the first degree dropped to second. And so that's, I'm sure, a state-by-state guidelines type thing, I'd imagine. But to me, it's in proportion to ending somebody's life, being found guilty of ending somebody's life, far outweighs to somebody having some narcotics on them. Though they, even if they're hard narcotics, they're.
Yep, I don't know. This whole case is just, it's a no-win situation.
It
regardless.
is. And I think I tend to agree with Ellison, and I don't all the time. I think he said some ridiculous things, in fact. But I think this, to me, it's right. It is a step. It's the longest that a cop has gotten sentenced for a similar type action. He actually did get found guilty, which is, a miracle in and of itself. I thought when he was going for second degree murder, he was out kicking his coverage, going to get acquitted.
Yeah.
And then shit was really going to hit the fan. That was my prediction on this whole thing. And so to see it actually play out, I think is a step in the right direction. But
I'm trying to remember, did the Hennepin County Attorney's Office originally charge him with third?
Yes.
And then
Ellison bumped the charge.
So they bumped it up to, so it was clearly operating under the theory that his conduct shifted into a convictable felony, and because of the death that occurred during the act of that felony, it would have been able to slide in under Minnesota law to that second degree.
So in any other state, it probably would have stuck at third.
Well, I'm thinking that was at least kind of the analysis that I got from that attorney. That was because I remember reading through the statute and talking with Spurge about it, maybe a couple of months ago, or something like that. And it seemed strange to me that, because I thought the door would be open for a lot of felonies that had what if you're in the middle of a burglary and somebody has a heart attack or something?
Yeah.
Did the death occur
because
of anything you did? Maybe not. But if the death occurred, then would that? And it seemed a little crazy for me to, with those facts as an extreme example, to have that constitute a second degree murder.
Yeah.
But apparently that's the deal in Minnesota.
Well, and I'd never really thought about law, but too heavily, I'd say. But I always thought, murdering was just standard across the board on all states. Third degree murder is more of the accidental. Second degree, you think crime of passion.
Right.
Caught my wife cheating, killed the guy.
Killed the guy, exactly.
And then first, you premeditated it out. And I thought that was standard, every state.
Yeah.
It's just murder is what murder is. But I guess it makes sense, I guess, that different states, they all have their own statutes, their state constitutions, their law books.
Right. Yeah, I think there is some nuance to it, but I think you're also right. Your initial thought was true to a large degree, that there's kind of those basic
That they
principles.
copy
and then,
paste.
yeah, it's to a, there'd be quite a bit of overlap. So if you learn those basics, first degree murder generally is like the intentional variety.
Premeditation.
Premeditated. You decide to do it with a, kind of like a cool and dispassionate manner.
A heart of malice.
Right. Yeah. Those kind of those words that you use to just kind of describe the, or to distinguish it from heat of the moment situation. More like. And I think that'd probably largely be true state to state. Second degree, kind of the same concept. You get in a fist fight or something and
bust a dude's
nose
into
yeah,
his
right.
brain
So
and-
you intended to kill him, but it wasn't
right
premeditated. Something like that. And then on down the line. But yeah, clearly there are some differences and nuances from state to state that are kind of interesting. So before you kill anybody, when you decide to move to another state, you should really make a study of that state's code and figure out which is the most favorable.
I never thought about the punishment aspect of things until just now when we were talking. Like 50 in Iowa is 30 in Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder why that is.
Sentencing guidelines.
But what's the motivation behind it? Like,
why
20
do
years
it a different?
difference?
Yeah. Well, so I think some states maybe like to have their judges have more discretion. So, maybe the guidelines say this would be a suggestion in this situation, but if there's aggregating factors or something like that, you can take it with. And I think other states, like what Andy was talking about with individuals that are locked away for life due to drugs and a series of priors or something like that.
It's like mandatory minimum.
But be a mandatory. They take away the judge's discretion, so they, okay, so there's no wiggle room here for me here. So because you had 2 prior convictions, here you are with your 20 sack or whatever.
Yeah,
California's 3rd strike rule.
Yeah, throw the book at you, and
interesting.
Yeah, right. So. I don't know. I guess personally, I'd be more a fan of letting the judge take it on a case by case and use
understand
their discretion.
nuance of.
Yeah,
I think I would too, because there is no one. It's I relate everything to medicine because that's what I do.
Right.
But like no two patients are the same. You're not going to exactly You're going to tailor everything to the situation that you have.
No 2 judges are the same either. So
Yeah.
what if you get a shitty judge?
Well, very
Which
true.
happens.
Which could happen, yeah. But then at least you'd have.
But then you maybe have a basis of appeal.
Right. Then you you got something to say. Look, because you could take like the 3 strikes situation. What if you were a kid and you had a crappy public defender that didn't care and talked you into taking a plea deal or something like that, so therefore you got a record, and now you're 22 or whatever and caught with drugs or something, but it's just recreational,
or you went
you're going to prison for a long time, and then you don't have a choice, or the judge doesn't have a choice to cut you a break because of mandatory minimums. So
Wait, how about, sorry to completely change the subject.
Oh, that's
but
fine.
Friggin', speaking of youths, the Forest Ridge is getting crazy, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's always been that bad.
No, it's
since
got
we
some
were,
bad press.
They had a riot.
Yeah.
Like a week ago.
Crazy.
It was
man, when I was I couldn't imagine.
You worked there?
Yeah, I worked there for about
Really?
a year as a
What's happened to your boy Buff?
Did they
person.
They
I don't know
beat you
what
up?
I'd call me. No. There's some big dudes there, though.
Really?
I worked with the boys mostly, and man, there were some big dudes that if they wanted to riot, I'd be out the door.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're not paying me $15 an hour
To try and stop that.
So you weren't going to stay and fight?
Yeah.
Come on,
I'm
man.
I'm gonna risk my life.
Did you get tasers or
Nope.
a freaking
They
bear?
just got restraining training.
Bear mace.
Yeah.
Give
right?
them a 1-2.
Well, if things, I remember Sievert telling me if things were heating up, you're supposed to kind of approach them and then like keep a hand on the chin and then you can block or something or what. I can't remember.
That's Jeff or
Dylan.
Oh, Dylan.
Or Shade Stevenson or whatever he likes to go by.
Jen's no longer there. She's at
Iowa Lakes.
Iowa Lakes,
Electric. Yeah, I saw that.
Well, so maybe that's.
I mean,
that's why
good
it's
for her,
gone
bad
downhill.
for them.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
probably.
I think she did really well out there, and
yeah, definitely.
I feel like though, even in the last few years, there's been a lot more like stole a car in Groover and joyrided out, or just took off in the middle of the night and into
You
the
have to
wilderness.
imagine that the neighbors out there are just getting livid. I mean,
I would be.
Yeah, and Ingham, the location for the main shelter at Ingham Lake is really a nice area. There's lots of nice property.
Yeah.
It would suck.
Well, here's the other thing. How about don't leave your keys in your car if you live in Groover?
You can't tell small town Iowans not to leave their keys.
I guess not, but I mean, come on.
Wait. Is this an easy way to get my car stolen? Get a payoff?
It's just park.
Because I'm kind of in.
Park the thing on the street.
Just park it out at LC.
Right for the LC.
Window chalk, totally not locked.
Leave a window half cracked.
I will take the pharmacy keys off my key ring first, but then.
All righty.
What do we got here? Oh,
let's ban clapping. This is a good one.
Okay, that's spread COVID.
This is a frontier of
the serious side of this first. What is upsetting, genuinely, about clapping?
So it's actually not just for people with anxiety, it's also people who use hearing aids. Clapping can be disruptive to that. People who have sensory processing issues, it can be very distressing and overwhelming.
Oh yeah, we gotta do
loud, sudden noises.
Jazz hands.
Jazz hands, yeah. Point of personal privilege.
Yeah. Remember that from the what was that?
That's the Democratic Socialist Convention.
Something or other. Yeah, they couldn't get through any business.
Point of personal privilege. We need to
quit using gendered pronouns or something like that. Gendered language, that's what it was. And all these hands go up like they're happy.
Part of our culture, isn't it, to clap? If you go to the theatre or you go to a lecture or you go to a performance or you go to a gig.
Was this on No Agenda?
You would.
I wouldn't be surprised
I think
if it
it
was.
was.
It's a couple years old already.
Yeah.
I mean, just think of the good old days when we were worried about this.
Oh,
man. Expect that people would clap.
Tan suits.
Yeah, absolutely. And that could be preventing people
Fancy
from
mustard.
going to those events,
Yeah.
which is a real shame. So if some
Typical
theatres or
right-wing
some
talking
universities
points.
say, actually, we can be more
Yeah,
inclusive.
now it's just trillions of COVID relief.
Yeah. Well, I kind of miss these days of nonsense stuff. Yeah.
Well, it's a lot easier to tone out.
Right.
I don't ever remember any of this business because I didn't pay attention.
Well, I think it was easier even 2 years ago just to dismiss this person as a crazy person too. Like nowadays, it's almost like you're forced to listen.
Yeah, but are you? I mean, like what mainstream Democratic figure is wanting to ban clapping?
Good Morning Britain, it looks like to me.
Okay. In the U.S., what mainstream Democrat is all aboard on
clapping?
this?
I don't know. I mean, you'd have to look.
Because the Democrats are not raging liberals.
I agree, and that's
they're
one thing.
Corporatists.
One thing I was thinking about too. Like, I get upset. I don't get upset, but I laugh and I get triggered. Yeah, a lot by these silly leftists, these flaming liberals. But I always kind of ground myself, be like, I've got friends that are just totally rational Democrats, like Spurge and like.
Oh, I'm not a Democrat, asshole.
Oh, sorry.
All right.
You're a Democratic Socialist.
That's right.
Okay. Anyway.
Say it 3 times.
Yeah. Oh, maybe it'll actually work then. Democratic Socialist. No, it still doesn't. Anyway, but no, like people like Spurge and Beards and those guys that are rational.
Beards is not rational.
You don't think so?
He loves Hillary Clinton.
Well, whatever you need to do to protect yourself.
Is Cole
she might
super
whack
partisan?
Yes.
It's a partisan thing for him.
It's a my team thing.
Yeah.
It's a you can never go against my team because my team believes this. And then if you say something ridiculous, it goes instant whataboutism.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then it goes, yeah, but you look at those assholes on the right, and then it's like, okay, man, but that's again arguing the counter isn't always.
Well,
yeah, it's almost like we've been conditioned these last few years, and a lot of it is a lot of Trump hate and
Trump love.
He didn't do himself any favors. No,
he was
but
very polarized.
we've just been conditioned to absolutely hate anything that has a D or, and then just associate that word Democrat with people like her. It looks like she has a tinge of purple in her hair.
That's purple.
But it's just, it's frustrating. It's hard to stay grounded. But
Well, I think Bill Maher was saying recently, it was stuff along this kind of line. This is why people don't embrace the left side of the aisle.
Yeah.
This kind of stuff is a turnoff for regular people. Because come on, it's banning clapping.
yeah,
There's got to be a point where most of us can agree it goes too far.
Yeah.
I think could everybody get on board with that at some juncture?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah. So,
Bill Maher, my
and do
favorite
jazz
liberal.
hands instead. That'd be lovely. More people could get involved.
And then what would be the penalty if you clapped?
I don't think there's going to be a penalty, frankly. I don't think anyone's going to say, you need to leave. But if you were persisting with clapping, even though you've been requested to do something, that's not very polite, is it? I think people understand if you're requested to do something in a specific context, you can do it.
Would it stop you?
No, absolutely not.
No.
You authoritarian. This isn't, and this is not America. But just because somebody tells me that I can't do something, I can't. I'm probably not if it's truly bothering somebody because I'm not a jerk, but why do I have to listen to that person? Kind of thing.
How about you stop telling me?
how very American of you, Andy.
I love my freedoms.
Well, that's a good thing. We all should
Love those
cherish
freedoms.
those freedoms. Yeah.
But I've been watching a lot of I told these guys at lunch, I've been watching tons of just cringy public freakouts lately.
Nice.
And the amount of that's hilarious. But the amount of people that are like, no, you need to be quiet and listen to me. Do I though? Why? I'm an adult. You have no authority.
Right.
Yep.
How much do you guys think the way we interact with one another has played a role into the current state of discourse and politics and the rest of it in the United States? And what I'm thinking of is, everybody plugged into social media, Facebook, Twitter, yada, yada, yada.
It's so easy.
It's so exponentially harder to tell somebody to their face
that they're wrong,
that they're wrong, or that you feverishly disagree with them, or something like that.
But contra to that, it's just as easy to say whatever bullshit thing that happens to the front of your mind and spew it out
and throw it out there.
Throw it out there. Yeah, prove that there isn't a teapot orbiting Earth with a little Martian in it kind of theory.
Exactly. So in all that noise, what's the thing that settles at the bottom? And I don't think what we're getting now is a healthy environment for everybody. What's everybody's take on that? Is the current state of affairs a healthy one online?
Of
course not.
The internet's super crazy toxic, but here's the thing: does the younger generation understand that it's just a toxic situation and feed in it to troll, but don't take it as seriously?
I think so.
I would hope so.
Yeah, because a lot of the kids at the high school are they're so turned off to most. I shouldn't say I shouldn't lump them all into one group, but a lot of them are just so turned off by politics and this divisiveness that, God, they just want to be on TikTok all day. They don't, and it's just
just watching videos. Huh?
Yeah, it's not like they don't care. I think, and from what my experience, it's that they
are so
they're almost more. I feel like some of them are almost more mature than the crazy Twitter fights that they see on Twitter, that they distance themselves from it. It's maybe they're just lazy. They don't want to involve in that intellectual argument, but I don't know. It's a little refreshing that I don't see a bunch of my students arguing about COVID relief funding or anything else on Twitter. But
the abortion bill.
The abortion bills, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if the kids coming up now have some kind of an immunity to online BS that like people of our vintage maybe don't have, just because they've grown up in that whole environment, that would be good, because I think the millennial group are probably the most sensitive and the most oh my God, there's somebody wrong on the internet today. I have to
or he called me
deal with them. Yeah, right, exactly.
I have to get this guy.
Well, the millennials and then maybe the older generation too.
The older generation though, like that. It's crazy how much it's like, I saw this thing. I saw it on Facebook, so everybody's saying it.
Yeah, right.
People that'll come into work and, they're saying now that you can't get the ketchup because the ketchup has human blood in it.
Right.
And they just saw something screenshot off of a 4chan thing, but posted on Facebook.
Yeah.
But like they seriously think that then if they see that, then they're saying that. Like the they are.
Right.
Which means everybody. And it's of course it's of course nonsense. But so I'm guilty because sometimes I'll just go, wait, who's they?
Mm-hmm.
And then, I saw it on the internet. You saw it on Facebook. And because there are good things on the internet and truth is on the internet in places, but you see a little thing.
Yeah, you raise a good point, though. It'll be interesting to see what our generation that we have in school right now is going to be like digitally in the future, whether they're going to engage in that discourse or just not care. Right now, I see a lot of just not caring.
Yeah.
Which is good.
It's good.
Yeah.
But do we think that this toxic comment section style interwebs is around for good? Because there was some trolling, but it was more like fringe message boards, I think, when we were growing up.
Did we think MySpace was going to be around forever?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Thought that was the new.
Got a little Henry out here.
Hey there.
Hey, Hanky Pank.
Hey, dude. You want to join the podcast?
Yeah.
About intellectual freedom.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy. Oh, you got a USA shirt on.
USA. Spurge, close your eyes.
Hey. They hate our freedom.
Yeah, man.
But that's the thing. Like, how long does this because this internet culture is pervasive into everything. Like the comments mentality.
Right.
But it's a fad.
Yeah.
Maybe?
I hope so.
I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you guys want out of social media going forward? What's the utility for you guys personally?
Don't I haven't posted on my personal one besides sharing stuff for my business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really.
But it's been wonderful for our business. In terms of it's free marketing.
Get your name out there.
Get your name out there.
Media, news.
Yeah, and everyone can jump on it, and my clientele have just learned how to use the internet and love it.
Right. Because they see Andy popping up every time.
There's Andy's got a helpful tip about sunscreen. It's summer. I better get sunscreen. I'm going to go to Estoril Pharmacy.
Yeah.
I wonder if he has any ivermectin. Uh-oh.
We do.
Uh-oh. We're going to get...
We do.
We're going to get banned. Ivermectin. Wuhan lab leak.
Do you know what ivermectin is?
It's a parasitic
heartworm medicine, right?
Yep.
For dogs.
Heartworm for dogs, pinworms for adults.
Yep.
Or for people.
Yeah, it's a weird drug.
Yeah. Funny.
It has no antiviral utility.
Interesting. Have you watched or listened to the most recent Rogan, the Emergency podcast with Weinstein and some other virologist? They were talking about ivermectin and how in studies it's pretty much saved lives of COVID people. And I'm not going to pretend like I know what's in it or how it works or anything like that, but I just thought it was interesting that the Weinstein, whatever his name is, the Dark Horse podcast has got its like second out of 3 strikes on YouTube just for mentioning ivermectin.
Mm-hmm.
I will read and listen to it.
It's good.
Because there's no pharmacokinetic or pharmacodynamic reason why it should work.
Yeah.
And the studies can make a study say anything, right? So how was it conducted? Was it conducted properly? Was it double-blind, randomized?
But what's the motivation for it not? I mean, ivermectin is essentially free because there's so many generics. So what's the motivation for?
Because if you use it and
it's safe.
You use it and don't need it, then you create resistance in the parasites that it actually is useful in treating. It's just like you overusing antibiotics, then all of a sudden, like Z-Pak barely works anymore.
Yeah.
It works at about 72%, where it used to be about a 99 in syrup.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to listen to that. I'd like to hear your opinion.
Yeah. And I want to pull out those studies because
it's
from what I've seen, it's a whole bunch of bologna.
It's an epic Rogan 3-hour.
Sure.
Ooh, that's a big one.
The thing that I heard the Weinstein gang talking about one time that was interesting to me, they were talking about how science and research is done and like big kind of corporate science sort of, or, expensive science where the money is, you're encouraged to get the big projects and a lot of dollars and that kind of thing is, I don't really understand all the mechanics of it really, but that versus, like studying tree frogs in the Amazon or something like that, and how different people at the research stage, you maybe are working on your doctorate or whatever, and you've got one tiny little sliver of the overall pie, and it's somebody else's baby kind of, and that sort of thing. And they were, I'm talking over my head here, but how the various parts involved, you may not see the forest through the trees necessarily as somebody working on a project and that kind of thing. And, I don't know.
Oh, for sure. Well, and that's what gets either a lot of times the criticisms I've found of scientific funding and grants, the NIH grant system, is they'll be like, oh, well, they're studying to see if hot tubs cause hair loss or something like that.
Yeah.
But then you look into it and it was part of a larger study having to deal with hot tub use in chemo treatments or like managing chemo pain or something. But then you can say, well, they also studied if the hair loss occurred more or less without so then you say that's what the study was about when that was not the design and the goal of the science.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I took from what their comments was that there was sort of a business element to the whole thing too.
100%.
You chase after the money and you do where you go where the money is, not necessarily where, it's.
Well, that's part of getting, and a lot that's a huge thing in the university systems as well. If you're not pulling in the grants for then you don't get your tenure. You don't get your full-time faculty position unless you have 10 million in grants over 5 years or something like that. Because sports are a big deal, but grants are that's what pays the bills.
Sure.
At these universities. And that's what gets you the good staff and the fancy buildings. All of a sudden you got Merck chemical building, chemistry building,
Papa John's
business building.
And then the question of is that framework the ideal one from a humanist standpoint, where you're pro whatever the best results are for people.
Yeah.
Should you, is what they're churning out always in the best interest of society, or is it what's in the best interest of society within the paradigm of what makes the university all the money?
Definitely the latter.
Definitely the latter, right?
Because there's no money to be made,
and that sucks.
It
I
does.
think.
But where does the money come from?
Mm-hmm.
If there is no end product that can be profitable from a corporation that can provide the seed money for the science,
Mm-hmm.
then there's no funding.
Why do it? Right?
Why do it?
Mm-hmm.
Even in the scope of the
capitalism, I tell you.
Even in the scope of the NIH grants, a lot of that is going to be fueled towards so look at the engineering grants. The money goes into where it can go into a military tech,
Mm-hmm.
and then that tech gets funneled back into Raytheon or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and sold back to the government, who then spends more money and cycles around.
Yeah,
we had Virtual Soldier at Iowa. Did you go to their lab?
No. Was that on campus or was it in?
Yes, it was over on the south. Well, it's across Burlington, but south side of of campus, and they had this. It was human physiology. So they'd suit you up, and measure all your inputs and your sweat rates and stuff, so that they could use that to then calculate how long a soldier can run with 75 pounds of whatever on their back if they weigh 180 pounds and have a muscle mass of this and all that math and stuff. So then they could create, and then the engineering department then created a computer program. So you can just plug in, soldier XYZ, 10% body fat, 195 pounds. They should be good with this much water, this many days.
Nice.
Interesting stuff. Really, really cool stuff. But total military.
Yeah.
It's
a lot of money.
A lot of money, yeah. The whole thing is just a mechanism of taking money from all the people, and then it gets in the hands of the intelligentsia and the oligarchs, and it floats around in a big circle, and it's just siphoning it away from all of us.
It sounds
just
like
a little at a
something
time.
Yeah. Troublesome.
I gotta get running here soon.
Okay, well, why don't we do the quick education segment situation?
Then I gotta go.
We gotta learn about
for what?
Oh, my kid just woke up.
So big deal.
Yeah.
You got two.
I do. They can keep each other busy.
Yeah.
It's a collaboration education segment situation.
So a bird told me that there's no group of self-aggrandizing people superior to teachers.
Well, that is true.
I agree.
This is Anna. She just graduated from college in the United States. And this is Sophia. She also just graduated from college in Finland. Anna and Sophia both want to be middle school teachers.
Why?
But it turns out
do you want to do that?
For the money, of course.
Yeah.
Actually, it's for the feel goods.
Middle school, there's not a whole lot there.
It's to be a hero.
there's a good chance their experiences will be very different. So different that Anna is twice as likely as Sophia to leave teaching for good. That's causing...
Do you think that's true, Kyle? Teachers in the
well, yeah, there is
States
a revolving door. I
flake out after a while.
It's almost like 50. I shouldn't throw around numbers, but there's a high percentage of teachers that don't make it past their 5th year.
Really?
And completely change?
Yeah, completely
career
change.
Careers,
yeah.
Interesting.
And I was at that point. I'm like, man, it was 3rd, 4th year in. I was like, Jesus, what am I doing? You're not making very much money.
Yeah.
You're just starting to get in the swing of things, and it's hard right off the bat. It is, but it's easy street once you do it.
Build up the curriculum.
Yeah.
Curriculum.
A problem. The supply of new certified teachers in the United States is shrinking, but the number of public school students keeps growing.
Massive teacher shortages.
Warnings about teacher turnover.
Educators call Colorado's teacher shortage a crisis.
So what makes
Priceless.
Sophia stay?
Okay, that's a quick. Why is everything a crisis?
Has to be a crisis.
An epidemic. You know, I mean, come on.
Those are pretty scary words.
Well, seriously.
I will say we had a science teacher leave this year. She retired, and the science department couldn't even get an applicant to fill that position until like a month ago.
Wow.
And it was like,
should have called me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The humanities, of course, they all have their
Yep.
millions of applicants, but
Yes.
science and math is just crazy.
Why is it just people don't want to go into it?
Yeah, I think so.
Lack of critical race theory
Yeah.
in science.
Yeah, you can't. Well, I'm sure I'll find a way to teach that in my curriculum.
You can't. It's illegal in Iowa.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah. Our governor signed that, didn't she?
She did.
And Anna leave. And how can the United States keep more of its teachers in the classroom? In the US, teachers work about 9.25 hours a day. That's an hour and a half longer than the average for teachers in other countries
I'm not
in the
doing that in the
organization.
summertime, I can tell you that.
Yeah. So, wow, 7 hours, 45 minutes in Finland. Not bad.
That's a pretty good day.
Yeah.
For economic development.
That'd be too long for me, though. I have to quit about 2 o'clock every
Yeah.
afternoon. I'm just out of steam.
Call
If I get that billing quota, I'm
Yeah.
out the door.
Or OECD for short. That's a group of mostly wealthy countries that economists often compare to one another. Teachers in the US work more than 2.5 hours longer than their colleagues in South Korea,
Man, if you're working 9
Finland,
hours a
and
day.
Israel.
What are you doing?
Yeah?
I mean,
Starting a pharmacy?
What are you doing? No, I mean in school.
Teaching?
Yeah, teaching.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Because when do most teachers get to school? About
7:30.
7:30, so 8:30, 9, 10, 11.
I can see, like, if they lump coaching into that, of course. I mean, yeah, I'm working 9 hours a day during the basketball season, but
Right.
just teaching? No.
So if you were like, because
you have what, 6 sections?
I have 6 periods, 7 periods. No, 6 periods with 1 prep. So yeah, 6 actual teaching periods.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They have 7 hours again or 8?
Yeah, there's 8, and the 8th hour is the study hall.
Oh, you get a study hall.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Yep.
Do you have to apply and like get the study hall? Because I feel like there were some teachers who never got to be the study hall teacher.
Everybody has a study hall now. Yeah, it used to be everybody's in the cafeteria. You have the overlord sitting on the.
You got Jim West up
Yeah.
on the podium.
And you got the phone up there that you have to hook up. Yeah. Yeah.
That's not the case anymore.
No, it's in the classrooms. Study halls all in different classrooms.
That would be awful.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, man.
It's just for freshmen and sophomores, and then you can exempt out of it as a sophomore. So usually most kids are done before 8th period. So
Wait, so juniors get open campus?
it's from like 3 to 3:30. That's our study hall. So they're
Oh.
done at 3.
So they can still bail at 3 if they.
If they have.
That's kind of rad
decent
though.
grades.
I would have been all over that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have gamed the system like I did senior year and just leave at noon or whatever.
Yep.
Or take a 3-hour lunch or something.
I think I had college class in the morning, so I was like sometimes out at Iowa Lakes.
Mhm.
And then I'd come in after lunch and have like Macaulay's class and then go to practice.
Yeah, Jenny Mitchell still has the.
Oh yeah, I wrote a note for you one time
Yeah.
to get you out of class, didn't I? Yeah.
We were eating lunch or something and just dicking around at his house, and he wrote me an admit slip back to class that said or Grems was helping me move furniture or
Yeah,
something.
right.
Jenny Mitchell's bought it, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm sure I was counted tardy or a skip or something, but
Do you get to take roll?
yeah, I got to take attendance. Yeah. Yeah, it's all on the computer now.
Mm-hmm.
Give them tardies.
Indeed.
Oh, yeah. No.
Dole out those tardies. Cole Beardsley is the tardy king. He got
There
himself
are
in
some
Saturday
countries
school,
with
I think,
similar
like the
teacher
first
work
day
hours to the United
every
States,
semester
like
because
New
he's tardy
Zealand,
8 periods in a
Singapore,
row.
and the UK. Teachers in Japan, for example, work nearly 2 hours
Jesus.
more per day than
Wait,
teachers
what?
in the US.
11 hours?
How is that possible?
half of your
day,
24-hour day.
Wow.
Teaching?
Yeah.
Man.
That's why they're so good at
You bring a shaman to school. Fuck you.
Math.
Yeah, that's wild.
They do have a high suicide rate over in Japan.
Yeah, no doubt. Well,
You
Kyle,
will commit to dishonor.
clearly, yeah.
Hardy curry.
In all of these countries, teaching hours are much lower. Of the 9.25 hours that American teachers work every day, they spend about 5.5 of those hours actually teaching.
Well,
That's
what are you
more
doing?
than the OECD average, and significantly more than teachers in New Zealand, the UK, South Korea, Japan, and Singapore.
You're not teaching,
Teachers
what are
in
you
these
doing?
countries
So what's
get
the
more
other
time for
5.5 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
planning, grading, and collaborating with each other.
Yes,
Oh,
my favorite
so
word.
we have so much more collaboration.
Yeah. Grading is a big thing. That does take a lot of time. I'll give them that,
Yeah.
but not 4 hours worth a day.
A day.
Yeah, that's nuts. And collaborating, no, I'd rather not collaborate.
Less collaboration,
collaboration for
more grading.
Yeah.
So, do all those extra teaching hours translate to better results?
What do we think here?
Obviously, no.
Students in the US score slightly above the OECD average on the PISA exam, which tests 15-year-olds all over the world in reading, science, and math. But they score lower than students in countries like Finland, South Korea, Japan, and Singapore,
Japan
where
is
teaching hours
11 hours a day.
Garbage. Why are these results so bad?
are much lower. If we look inside Anna and Sophia's classrooms in the US and Finland, we'd see Anna teaching an hour and a half more per day than Sophia. Anna also spends more time planning lessons, grading student work, and leading extracurricular activities. But those extra hours aren't
leading extracurricular activities, of course. I mean,
So if you factor that in,
yeah,
that's-
there's your average.
Mhm.
I mean,
But you you don't have to do that, right?
Right.
But you get extra Skrilla.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And I would assume the United States probably spends substantially more time on athletics than Finland.
Could be. They're probably playing korfball over in Finland.
Korfball.
Korfball is awesome.
Korfball is an abomination.
Korfball's cool.
Korfball sucks.
What's your problem with korfball?
Because it's dumb.
It's not dumb. It's like basketball except harder because there's no backboard.
There's no backboard.
How
so why
else
don't you
you
call it basketball?
How
with
else
no
are you gonna
backboard?
korf?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like 15 feet in the air too.
Yeah. Awesome.
It's pretty dope.
Well, I've got to go play some korfball.
Okay. You sus.
Yeah, I should probably go eat too.
Alrighty.
Not eat, but help make eat.
Yeah, we're right at about hour and 15, so that's not bad. Good warm up here to get back on the saddle.
Get back into it.
Indeed.
Now Kyle just has to give us his weekly schedule.
Yep.
I'll write it out and forward it on you.
Well, you got to have PIT with your
Yep.
FFT. Project Ion time.
That's right. Well, and we got to go longboarding shirtless at Okoboji
In
soon.
Boge. You been doing that lately?
Yeah, come on.
Oh, that's Tyler's new thing, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. Good. See ya.